Chapter 14. "Mom?" she called, stepping onto the rain-soaked front carpet. "Mom?" There were no lights on, but someone was walking around upstairs. Her mother appeared at the top of the dark stairs. "Where have you been, Kayla?" she asked, her words slurred. "You left the door open. The carpet's soaked," Kayla said. Mrs. Reed came down the steps and walked to the living room sofa with only a slight stagger. She was obviously drunk, but her eyes burned with an abnormal brightness. Kayla wondered what drug had brought it on. This was scarier than a drunken stupor on her mom's vacant stairs. This expression reminded Kayla of someone who was seeing visions no one else could see, an insane person. "Mom, are you okay?" she asked, not knowing what else to say. "Guess where I was today," her mother replied. "I have no idea." "Of course you don't. I was at my old hospital, and guess what? Those babies don't need barcodes. Want to know why?" she asked. "Why?" Kayla asked, staggering alongside the couch. Her mother stared up at her, her eyes wide. "Because they're now inserting chips into every baby's foot, and in those chips is each baby's complete genetic code." "Genetic code?" "That's if they live long enough," Mrs. Reed went on. "You see, they blood test those little babies right away, and the blood test tells them which babies will grow up to be healthy and strong and which ones will have health problems. The ones who aren't healthy are being left to die." "No!" Kayla gasped. "I don't believe it." Her mother got up and began to walk in stumbling circles around the room. "They don't stab them or gas them or anything. They just leave them in cold rooms or slip a little something into their bottles. Some babies get a lethal shot in the night." "Are you sure?" Kayla questioned. "Why do you think I can't stand to go back there?" she yelled. "The unhealthy don't get a chance, but the very healthy babies are being genetically enhanced." "What do you mean?" "They're transgenic, mean giving genes for night vision from cats. Dog genes are spliced in to give them heightened smell and hearing. I wonder if they ever will be able to give them wings. I'm sure they must be working on it." She giggled, then frowned. "They do it quietly, behind closed doors. Most of the time their parents don't even know." Could this be true, or was her mother hallucinating? "How do you know all this?" Kayla asked. "I know it because I've seen it," her mother answered. "Things I saw at the hospital made me suspicious, and today a friend of mine, a nurse, showed me things that proved it." "Did you tell Dad what you suspected?" Her mother covered her face with her hands as she nodded. I told him the night before he killed himself." Kayla's skin popped with cold goose flesh. "Is that why you say the barcode killed him?" Mrs. Reed shook her head, her face awash with tears. "Not at first. At first it was because I thought the things I told him were more than he could bear. But now I've seen his file, I know it was more. It was the part about schizophrenia. Grandma Kathy was a schizophrenic." Her mother's head fell forward into her hands. "She died in an institution in Los Angeles. But Dad wasn't that way," Kayla said. "It would have showed up by now if he was." "Maybe," her mother said, looking up at Kayla, "but it doesn't mean you might not become schizophrenic, start hearing and seeing things that aren't there." Suddenly nauseated, Kayla gripped the couch. Seeing things that weren't there, her visions, that's exactly what she'd been doing. "You were covered under the Bureau's insurance. They don't want to pay for your future drugs, maybe for institutionalization, for your psychiatric bills, so they made his life so miserable that they hoped he'd quit." She laughed with a touch of hysteria. "Well, he quit all right. He quit the whole damned world." Kayla's stomach flipped, and she raced up to the bathroom, vomiting in the hall before she got there. As she leaned against the wall, her mind raced. What kind of world was this becoming? There must be something like this in the Thorns code, too. They were being shut out of everything because their barcodes revealed illness of one kind or another. And now she was going crazy, just like her father's barcode had predicted. How could she fight back? How could she resist if she was insane? And that gene for schizophrenia would be encoded right on her wrist for everyone to see. If she didn't get the code, she couldn't make a move. And if she did get it, the world wouldn't want her. It wouldn't pay for her insurance. This sickening realization, this unbearable feeling of being counted out, is what her mother had been trying to protect her from. The knowledge that her daughter had no future is what she'd been slowly destroying her. A surge of sympathy rose inside of her, compassion for her tormented mother. The smoke alarm screamed in deafening whoops, and she smelled something burning an instant afterwards. Something was burning, and whatever it was smelled hideous. "Mom!" she shouted, racing downstairs. She was answered with a horrific scream from the kitchen. Her mother stood by the stove, her sleeve flaming. "I'll burn it off," she shrieked. "Burn it!" Kayla grabbed a pot from the stove and turned on the kitchen tap. "Drop and roll!" she screamed at her mother as the pot filled way too slowly. Her mother stumbled backwards into the side window, in too much pain to speak. The curtain lit and the flame quickly climbed to the valance. Kayla flung the water from the pot at her mother, and it dampened the flames at the bottom of her sleeve, but the fire at her shoulder seemed to burn even more furiously. Her mother staggered towards the living room, fanning her clothes. Running behind her, Kayla knew she needed something to slap out the fire, and she yanked down the heavy living room drapes, tossing them on her mother. Her mother fell to the floor, and Kayla rolled her up in the drapes as a wall of flames roared in from the kitchen.